A team of legislative reporters in conversation with Montserrado, District Number 2 representative. A pleasant good evening, sir, and welcome to this interview.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, today in your deliberation, you make some statement as it relate to folks. Can you explain better?
Especially the communication from
yeah, quarterback.
Oh, okay. Now I see what you're talking about. The Honorable expressed concern of the force used by the police on the Capitol grounds. I think that was his assertion of that. And another colleague of mine was a little bit judgmental as to accusing the police of the level of force used. And I think that was the conversation.
Yeah.
My point here is this. The authority of the police comes from the Liberia Penal Code. The Penal Code is a provision from the Constitution that gave the authority to law enforcement to effect or enforce the laws of the Republic. For someone who is not a law enforcement officer to accuse the police of the level of force used, then I have a problem with that, because the question would be, how did you determine the level of force used by the police? And I think that was it. Too often people accuse the police of excessive force. Who determined the requisite force? And my point there, the point that I was making to my colleague, is to understand law enforcement. When you say force, law enforcement will always use force that commensurate with the level of event. You got it? The incident, the level of events. And force is not one action. Force is proceeding engagement. And we call it the pyramid of force. Force continually. From one force to another force to another force, the level of force will be determined as to the engagement, the incident that is occurring. What do I mean by this? If the police tell you stop, that verbal command is the first step of force. If you didn't know this, force is not necessarily laying your hands on somebody. It could be verbal force, and that's what I was telling my colleagues, that the police sometimes use verbal instruction, which is a force by itself. Sometimes police lay hands on to restrain somebody. Sometimes police use tear gas, to disperse an unauthorized crowd. All these things happen. So we should not take police using tear gas in Liberia to be a new thing, that some wave of politicians want to emphasize that police using tear gas in Liberia. They use tear gas around the world more than even Liberia, even in the great United States, everywhere in the world, Hong Kong, everywhere. So to make enemy of the police is where I come in to say it's a wrong practice. The police were on Capitol grounds here. Yes, they were here. And I would assume that they were here based on requests out by the security experts on the ground here to call for, police protection. That's how the police got here.
Finally, from my end, this communication is going to your committee. What should the public expect from you?
Well, it's going to, the good thing about it is that I think this communication will be going to the Judiciary Committee, Security Committee, and I think one or two other committees, Health and Gender, something like that. But the good thing is I'm on 2 of the 4 committees. I'm on National Security and I'm on Judiciary. So it will give me a chance to really bring my expertise to bear on the explanations and justifications, and to let my colleague here knows that once you challenge the police force will be used, depending on what type of force. Like I said, the pyramid of force is layer one, step 2, step 3, step 4, until it gets to what we call deadly force, after excessive force. So that was all the point I was making. We cannot antagonize the police to effect arrest on Capitol grounds when you know the activities that were going on that day. People were stoning the police, people assaulted the police. I'm aware of this. So how now that you want to blame the police for effecting an arrest on the Capitol grounds?
Somebody listening to you would say, because you're from the security background, or most of your trainings in the security field, this is why you come here to maybe come in defense of the police. But the action during that time, one may wonder that excessive force was used.
If you heard me clearly on the floor, I wanted to distinguish between two assertions on the floor. One was the type of force used, and the second was the authority of the force used. If you, I know you have that, go back and look at your notes. My point there was to make clear that we cannot question the authority of police to enforce the law because we know where the authority is coming from. The authority of the police comes from the Liberian Penal Code. And we all know that the Penal Code is a special provision, set aside from the Constitution to provide, for the safety of our people, public peace, public safety, and that's where it's come from. So I was just trying to make it easy that the authority of the police, we know where it comes from, so we don't need an investigation to determine where the authority of the police come from. And that's what I said, it comes from the Penal Code, a provision of the Constitution. The question was to determine whether the force used commensurate with the situation. And I said, you cannot determine the force used by police because there are lots of measurements. The police could fear of his or her safety. It could be that the police preventing you from causing mayhem, affecting other citizens as well and protecting public assets. So you have to understand this thing. Police is not the enemy of the people, the state. So I just want to let you know that yes, of course, maybe my, stand on this thing may look like I'm prejudiced, on behalf of the police, but I want to make it clear for people to understand that police is not your enemy. Today, police are your friend. Tomorrow, you want to make the police your enemy. It's the same police when you're in difficulties, you're in danger, you want the police. So let's stop this thing in this country, talking about the police working for this person and that person. My point was that if there was any wrong action done by the police, we need to spell that out, and deal with it. But let us not question the authority of the police because they know where it comes from. That's all I was saying. And the force used here, I'm not aware of any excessive force used. Using tear gas in itself is not excessive. So I know you can turn it around and say, use tear gas, everybody. That's not what I'm saying. But tear gas is a measure used to disperse crowd. That's what it's for. It has no long-term effects, health-wise. It has been studied scientifically. It's just to make the environment unconducive for you to live. So there's no health implications in tear gas. The research has been done, and I'm aware of it. It's fully to disperse unwanted crowd. That's all. So police using tear gas, James Smith to say using tear gas is not crime.
Thank you.
It's an instrument to enforce the law all over the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I hope I